What's up, Trekkies? Hi, so couple things. There's apparently a part 2 to the Tales from K-13. Just isn't that crap at all. It's the first link below. I'm not going over it. I'm not gonna read it. I'm tired of 23rd century bullshit. I don't care if it's modernized. I get it that K-13 has some boosted traits, like superior covert or whatever it was, but I'm literally only gonna milk it for that. I'm not a fan of the original series, and all this stuff where people are trying to go back and relive the original series is kind of getting on my nerves, so I'm just sort of like, I'm like mentally coasting right now in Star Trek, because they're less like, you know, I was really excited when they were going into the future stuff, and now they're going back in time, and I'm like, I can't wait for this to be over. So that's that. R&D upgrade weekend is coming. It starts on Thanksgiving in the morning and goes until that Monday. What that basically is you get double the technology points, so it's a good time to, you know, do your researches. I would say right now, if you have the ability to start doing your R&D stuff, I should probably set those up right now. I am probably going to upgrade a few things. R&D, science, what's science? Throw shields. So I'm going to scrolling down to the bottom here, and I'm going to do a superior experimental, because I have a lot of those. I'll figure this shit out later. Anyways, so also when you do scanning stuff, and from little packs you get at the end of PvE queues, is 25% more R&D materials, and it has a chance to reward catalysts too. You're also gonna get, it says 25% more, but I think I remember you get like also a bonus pack. So if you get an advanced, you get another little bonus pack inside of it that has more. Doing your actual research, like as you get experience for your R&D stuff, that will be doubled. So it would be great if you went by your research lab and did the bonus on that. Also, the duty officer mission that allows you to get the pool of extra duty officer or commendation R&D experience. There's so many pools up there. There's 6 of them up there, and I'm like losing track of which ones are which. There was an announcement for a Science Modern bundle. I don't know why it's called a Science Modern bundle. I don't need to go through the actual announcement because the stats are out, and that's all we really care about. So people in my fleet have been like, oh my god, look at this, it's so amazing. And I'm like, oh, someone said, rejoice, science skippers or something. It's basically that Klingon and Romulan are getting like real science vessels, not like these weird half science vessels that sometimes they get. And the Federation's getting a tier 6 Nebula. So basically all these ships are going to have pretty much the exact same stats, I'm guessing. They're just going to be reskins of the tier 6 Nebula. So it's the Sutherland, the naj'sov research vessel, and the Leosa research warbird. Comes equipped with a special console. The console is the same across all the ships, and they all have the same trait as we go into this one. The stats are here. Hull modifier has that extra 0.05, so you get a little bit more hull than typical, which is indicative because it has more engineering than it does tactical, so it's a hardier ship. It's got Lieutenant Tactical, Ensign Science, Lieutenant Commander Engineering, Temporal Operative, because that's the newest specialization, so they're putting it on everything. Although Temporal Operative is really good for science, complementary to science. So is Intelligence, but that's why is it my secondary? Yes, I'm primary Temporal Operative, secondary Intelligence, because the rest of them are like, psst. That works. Lieutenant Commander Universal, which, if you're trying to be a science DPS, which we've been talking about in the fleet, you put a science in there. If you're like, I'm gonna be science DPS, I'm gonna put Lieutenant Commander Tactical, you're kind of doing science DPS wrong. There are theory crafters out there that are like, make sure you got the rest better, and every one of your tactical slots you put in an anti-proton. No, you don't. I mean, Commander Science is great, and then Lieutenant Commander Universal, just make it a Lieutenant Commander Science, that's good to go. That way you have 7 massive science abilities. The Ensign Science can be like me. Just science team that shit. You always need a science team. Base turn rate 10 degrees per second. Impulse modifier 0.15. Inertia 45. Plus 15 to Ox. Plus 5 shield power. The console. To be a proper science vessel, and why some people are like, oh, I'm going to be science DPS. I'm going to be in the the Audi science. I'm like, you don't have sensor analysis, do you? You don't have subsystem targeting. Like, these are kind of key to science and why you need a science vessel. Because like everything has like some things are like, I'm gonna be leaning towards science, and I'm like, that's not the same as like stacking your weapons is like a science Audi. I could see being really good as like an engineering DPS, but since you have extra science, you put more drain stuff in there, and you have like a plasmonic leech. And that way you can and you use like Tachyon beam and like maybe an energy siphon if you've got the right thing. And you just drain their power to the point where their shields are nullified, and then you blast in with your beams. Kind of an engineering, because that way you can you can use like EPS and you can supercharge your actual weapon power and blast away. Like my I should probably contract. So the mastery path for all these, it's just Science Vessel. It's bonus exotic damage, bonus shield, hit points, bonus healing, and bonus shield regen and hardness. And then the console is, okay, let's check here. There's a fleet version, which increases to an extra engineering, slightly bigger hull modifier. It goes from 1.05 to 1.155. So it increases by 0.105. It's still got 3 in the front, 3 in the back, which is a science. The shield modifier is insane, and again, it just increases that extra console. Now, basic naj'sov research vessel, you look exactly the same stats. Alright, although its shield modifier is less. 1.3 for the regular, this one has 1.275, barely anything of a difference. And then the other one, okay, so, and then the Romulan one also has 1.275 for a shield modifier. The fleets are obviously more. But aside from the hull strength and the shield modifier, the stats are, everything else looks exactly the same, except for the fact that the Romulan has a cloaking device. Does the Klingon one have a cloaking device? Yes. Romulan has a battle cloaking device. And the singularity abilities. 40 base power for all subsystems. Which you guys probably understand this, as you who do Romulans understand this. Plasma shockwave, quantum absorption, warp shadow, singularity jump, singularity overcharge. Literally have no idea if those are baseline for all ships or science ships or what. I plain down in the comments that I don't do a Romulan. The problem, I have a Trill, he's crazy, and we don't talk about what goes on in my science lab. So, console is the Tachyon particle field emitter. That looks like which is probably all 3 of these ships. Activating this console ability will cause your starship to emit densely packed field of tachyons around your ship in a large radius. These particles interact with the shields of foes and allies differently. Foes within the field radius will suffer dramatic shield damage and lingering shield hardness debuff. Allies within this field will receive shield regeneration and shield hardness. So it's basically like the Fermion field, except rather than healing your hull also, it damages the shield of enemies near you. This could be beneficial if you like to hang out near your gravity well. Oh. I mean, you could probably slowly fly past your gravity well and blast away at their shields, but there's so much easier to get rid of run shields. But again, this console provides a passive bonus to drain expertise and shield restoration. It affects shields in double ways and be great. Upon expiration, the final Tachyon particle pulse will be emitted that will deal more powerful version of the listed effects above. So the problem I see with this is it's pretty cool and probably affects yourself, but it's probably not going to affect allies. Because as anyone who has tried to heal in this game at all will attest, nobody sits still. Nobody stays near you. If I try to heal someone, or if I am actually healing someone, it's because they're a cruiser and they're smart and they're sticking still. Technically they're dumb for sitting still, but they can also handle a hell of a lot more damage and they don't need their defense boost from moving. Even so, it's like trying to be a support class and a healing while you're when I was in the Vesta and I was trying to hit next to people, here's my Fermion field. Literally the only thing I could do was help stationary targets, like Empok Nor, or the Near Universe, not Empok Nor, Deep Space Nine, which I didn't, anyways. But the Mirror Invasion, that starbase, yeah, I could heal that with my Fermion field, because it didn't move away from me. Any other thing that moved really slowly, I could help heal, or protect within the science officers, I am derping right now. This also can be combined with that console can be combined with the actual one for the actual Tachyon detection grid from Nebula, the Advanced Research Retrofit, which I'm not sure how you get a hold of that console on the other two factions. The 2-piece bonus is called Tachyon Manipulation Technology, and it's bonus accuracy and shield drain, starship drain expertise. This is mainly a shield draining ship is what it looks like. The starship trait, Tachyon Beam, which is a shield draining ability for those that spend too much time on tech officers, will reduce the shield's hardness while channeled. In addition, Tachyon Beam reaches its full duration, it will release a large burst of Tachyon energy, which will inflict shield damage over time and reduce shield hardness to affected targets within its radius. I don't think it'd be all the way out to 10. It's probably like 3. In terms of like science DPS, people are like, you're doing it wrong. People that are focusing on weapons, I have my weapons set at 80. My shields are at 50, my engines are at 25 and my aux is set base at 45, rises to 90% just sitting here, and my weapons are at 109. Here's the kicker. I cycle emergency powered aux like nobody's business. It is constantly on cooldown, which gives me 30 aux, which puts me up to my cap, especially when I'm using my plasmonic leech. All that extra bonus power, and I'm capped out on my aux. That's the key. People are like, I'm science DPS, I'm all weapons. I'm like, what's your aux power at? I'm like 40. No, science DPS is all about the aux. And I share my loadout, like, my tactical consoles. Here's the thing. This tells you why science DPS for me is not all about the weapons. My tactical consoles are Timeline Stabilizer, Plasmonic Leech, the Console Tactical Chronometric Capacitor Mark 12, which I could upgrade, and that's part of the Chronometric Calculations, which is a 4-piece set with the 360 energy Polaron weapon, the regular Polaron energy weapon, the Crenum Chronoton torpedo launcher, and the tactical, and then this console, and it gives the set 4-piece, and it's great. And the other thing is projected singularity. Those are my tactical consoles. My other consoles is like science, so the chronometric capacitor increases overall Polaron damage, and torpedo weapon damage, and exotic particle generators, and then weapon power setting. The temporal disentanglement suite is bonus aux power, shield capacity, and reduces damage to shields by 3%. I just use that one because the other two things are, I slowly move those away. The quantum phase converter, which I think is from Eclipse. You have to go through and do that. It's got your bonus phaser damage, aux power setting, and drain expertise. And then it's got its little set of stuff that's just amazing for science. Thing is, the quantum destabilizing beam. It's phaser damage. So anything you do that increases phaser damage increases its damage, as well as exotic particle generator. Like right now, I'm sitting around the research lab, and my quantum destabilizing beam does 300 or 3200 phaser damage per second for 10 seconds. Not to mention the whole long list of things that I do. I mean, let's have Alt 6. Now it does 4400 damage per second. And that's not that's not even, with like sensor scan or anything with all that reducing stuff. And so, I mean, I can go over a video later on how to do all this stuff as science. I don't want to make this video any longer than it actually is. I didn't realize it'd be so long. Yeah, so comment below or if you want kind of a rundown on how to science DPS. It seems like an interesting topic because people seem generally confused about how to science DPS because they're too busy with tactical and engineering thinking it's about the weapons and not the abilities. And even when they use their abilities, they're not using them in conjunction together. They're like, oh, I'm gonna use this ability and this ability. I'm like, you do realize that if you use this one and this one, they'd actually do this, and it's not a typical way of thinking in this game because so many people are tactical officers and sometimes the game doesn't play itself, I guess. It does with tactical officers. You just sort of king, and then hit your space bar, and something will die. So that's that. I will catch you guys next week. Hopefully, there'll either be news. Okay, Q's Winter Wonderland comes out on the 1st. So we're going to have something about that next week. We're going to be having something about that soon, and I will talk to you on the 29th about Q's Winter Wonderland and probably the boost and all that happy jazz.